It's the start of summer vacation. As a kid, that means pool parties, vacation, long hours of playing your favorite video games, and staying up late. As an adult, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's like the rest of the year, but with more heat.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together.
Hey, Genius. It's been a strong week for game releases, from Devil May Cry on Switch to My Friend Pedro to the story that is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, all culminating to Friday's launch of Super Mario Maker 2. The 2D platforming builder returns to the Switch, and it's brought along more than just a few extra sets of tools to play with. Having spent a few hours with it myself yesterday, I couldn't believe how they packaged in this entirely new 2D Mario game that reinvents the Super Mario formula. That to me is the hidden story of the year, which we'll get to in a moment. Everyone is talking about building shitty levels and playing some shitty levels designed by some basement dwellers, snickering to themselves, knowing full well only a few with a lot of time and patience will find those stupid hidden blocks to beat their level. Stop smiling. You know who you are. That's not good level design. It's cheap. When I find you, I will smack you upside the head with a copy of Hollow Knight to knock some good design sense into you. Anyways, back to my point about this being a redefining moment for 2D Mario games that no one seems to be talking about. As you probably know, this game comes with a campaign mode that tasks you with collecting coins to rebuild the castle. In true Nintendo gaming spirit, there are a ton more side quests and areas to unlock the more you restore the castle, which is great, but that's not even the best part. What's incredible here is the built-in levels from Nintendo, which has finally refreshed the formula of run right until you reach the goal. Now there are different clear conditions like killing a certain enemy, collecting coins, finding secret exits, carrying a toad or a concrete box. Let's be real, those two things are interchangeable at this point, to the exit. There's even Mario shoot-'em-up levels where you pilot a clown car that has a basic blast attack, a boosted attack, and a charged-up blast. This game is packed with everything you need to make any kind of 2D type of platformer. Now they've also added a bunch of elements never before seen in a 2D Mario game, like new level themes, characters, and entirely new music compositions by Koji Kondo himself. Now while the Wii U's Mario Maker felt like an innovative step forward for gaming, it also felt like a do-it-yourself shitty crafting kit you'd get bored with after a month. With Mario Maker 2, it feels like a full, polished version of what the first attempted to do. Thanks to the added level options and items, the level feels like they can live side by side with traditional Mario games, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them. It really is a perfect game for those who enjoy 2D Mario games or 2D game design. Thank you for coming to my Mario Maker TED Talk. Unfortunately, I can't dedicate the same amount of attention to the other games released this week. Devil May Cry received pretty much mediocre reviews, while My Friend Pedro is an absolute thrill to play, and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is apparently quite good, as long as you're not playing it on the Switch. You'll get my full thoughts on that game later this year if you follow my Castlevania Diary series. Now don't let the name fool you. I swear it's not just a diary about me crying that Dracula's minions are bullying me, or a detailed accounting of my secret crush on Alucard. Because let's be real here, if there was a character to crush on, it would be Trevor Belmont. Next, let's talk about a game I will never get tired of talking about, Breath of the Wild. Twitter user EU_Razzie_A_3678, like, can you make a more complicated handle, please? Discovered a glitch that uncovers the beauty under the sea. And speaking under the sea, just saying that evokes a really weird, vague memory. Oh, play indie games. Play indie games. Anyways, it's amazing how this game continues to surprise. Maybe in the sequel, we'll see Link journey to the bottom of the sea to join a hot crustacean band. Also, don't bother to correct me that this is the bottom of a lake and not a sea. I'm quite aware, but then my Little Mermaid jokes just wouldn't work. And now for news that isn't really news.
News that isn't really news.
Stadia confirmed that games will be costing full price on its platform, which seemed pretty obvious from the get-go, but slow news week, I guess. I think there may have been some confusion between Xbox's Game Pass and Stadia, two very different products. See, while Game Pass lets you pay $10 a month to play hundreds of games, Stadia lets you pay $10 a month so you can tell your friends how edgy you are with modern tech. And as someone who pre-ordered that Founders Edition, you can bet I'm going to be flaunting my edgelord status in all your faces this fall. Continuing our news that isn't news segment, the summer Steam sale is in full bloom, which means you are required to say out loud or at least read something about your wallet crying and complaining for the 10th year in a row about how you've got a massive backlog of games you'll never play. At this point, your complaints are pretty much falling on deaf ears. Also, Apex Legends is kicking off its second season next week, and I think we now know who was sitting in the Bethesda E3 press conference going crazy at any mention of dragons, because now Apex has dragons or something. Lastly, Astral Chain was said to be the first part of a trilogy, and then it wasn't. Game director Takahisha Tora clarified on Twitter that news of Astral Chain being planned for a trilogy was caused by a mistranslation. Should the game sell well, he has been thinking about how to set up the franchise into a trilogy, however. And that's it for news that isn't news.
News that isn't really news.
We got some Metroid news this week, and it will most certainly disappoint you as it has nothing to do with a new Metroid game. It's just another Spirit event in Smash Ultimate going on this weekend. But hey, if you're looking for a good way to look at Metroid artwork and reminisce about some better days, this is a pretty good way to do that. Fans of Tifa that were upset with her new look for Final Fantasy VII Remake should be a little bit happier to see that her old look returns untouched in Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. Who am I kidding? They'll probably still complain that the boobs still don't match up to the fantasy they extrapolated from this low poly render over 20 years ago. Another change to Final Fantasy VII was announced this week in the form of its materia system. Game director Tetsuya Nomura explained that due to the new combat system, some original materia would be removed from the game while new ones would be added in. Now, I'm okay with tweaks to the original formula for a reimagining of the gameplay, but don't you dare touch my Knights of the Round cinematic movie. I'm looking forward to binging the whole season of that show once I cast it. In case anyone here cares about Pokemon mobile game updates, there's been more information shared on the Pokemon Masters game. Now we know combat will play out in real time in a 3v3 style battle system and will release later this summer. They also released a pretty cool anime trailer showcasing many of the gym leaders if you want to check that out. Finally, I always like to treat you to a strange piece of news each week, and this week it has to be the announcement of the Commodore 64 getting a full-sized re-release, or more like a re-release this December. I have nothing against the Commodore re-releasing per se. What's strange, however, is that they already re-released it last year in mini form. This seems like a second kick at the can because I only recall the Commodore 64 Mini being talked about at the clearance bin. Aside from this re-release being bigger, they're also including the ability of loading and saving your own files and games to the system. The real cherry on top, though, is the price. This slab of retro geekness will set you back about $140 US, nearly double the price of the Mini and one of the most expensive retro consoles on the market. Now, I'm getting the feeling that the retro game market is becoming too similar to the vintage wine economy. This game is the best game because it is so old and I paid $1,000 just to get it. Now, fun wine fact. Did you know that just because you pay a lot for wine doesn't mean it tastes better? Wines that are very expensive usually just mean there are more traditional human processes in the pipeline versus machines. So keep that in mind when you're enjoying your $20 wine and your snobby friend is trying to one-up you with their $500 bottle. And that's it for this week. I'll see you all next week, and until then, keep it classy.